So today I am on a quest to figure out which current UFC champion is the closest to becoming the GOAT in their respective division and how many more wins or how many more defenses they need to claim that title. Undeniably, that's a big thing in this. Undeniably, there is no more argument. They are officially the GOAT. You cannot argue anything else. So what exactly do they need to become the GOAT? I will not be including any WEC wins or Pride or Strikeforce, only talking about UFC branded title defenses and title wins and just wins in general. And some of the criteria that I will be taking in will be title defenses, wins, strength of schedule, or who they fought, who they beat, and who they lost to as well. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. And we're going to start off with featherweight with Alexander Volkanovski versus Jose Aldo. I think these two right now are at the top of the division or top of the discussion in terms of who is the current GOAT at featherweight. Some people agree that Volk is already the GOAT, and people are still stuck on Aldo saying that he is a GOAT. In my opinion, right now, I think Aldo still is the GOAT. He does have a total of 7 defenses. The only reason you can really knock him down is his losses. But some people already have Volk as the GOAT right now because of he already beat Aldo, and he has 3 wins over Holloway, who is a top 3 featherweight of all time right now. He beat Holloway for the belt, then he beat him 2 other times defending it. He also has a win over TKZ, the Korean Zombie, Mendez, and then his fight with Islam Makhachev was one of the more impressive losses ever in UFC history. So Volk's resume is already one of great stature, but I think Aldo's 7 defenses, not counting the WEC one, because he has more than that if you do count those wins in WEC, but his 7 defenses as a UFC featherweight are some of the best. He beat Frankie Edgar twice, he beat Chad Mendez, and he also beat the Korean Zombie as well, but he does hold a lot of losses, which kind of brings down his status. If Aldo retired early, this might be a whole different conversation, and Volk might have to do more to achieve that status, but he has losses to Holloway twice, which Volk has 3 wins over. He lost to Piotr Jan, he lost to Volk, which again, is the guy we're debating against, so him losing to him kind of proves that maybe Volk is better, but that was a different Aldo, kind of out of his prime a little bit, not the strongest Aldo we've ever seen in his career, but Volk did manage to beat him. And then he got 1-punch KO against Conor McGregor. We all know that win. So Aldo's losses do kind of bring him down to earth a little bit. It might make it easier for Volk to claim that title. I think Volk mainly needs probably 2 more wins, 2 more defenses of his belt to claim that featherweight spot. I think if he beats Jair and gets his 5th defense against him, that puts him, I think, dead even. Absolutely dead even with Aldo. And if he gets 1 more on that, I think that even though he would have 6 defenses compared to Aldo's 7, I think beating Aldo and having those wins over Holloway, who Aldo has lost to, would make him the official GOAT of featherweight. There would be no more debate. There is one right now, but there would be absolutely no more debate. And if he gets to 7 defenses, there's no argument in the world you could ever make up out of your ass. Volk would be the undisputed, probably one of the GOATs, probably top 5 GOAT all time if he gets to 7 defenses in his career at featherweight. But never know. And if Volk ever becomes double champ, let's say Volk beats Jair, and then he beats Aljamain Sterling moving up, and then he beats Islam. There's no doubt in my mind that Volk would not be a top 5 GOAT of all time. Being a double champ and having those wins against Sterling, who Sterling beats O'Malley, he's already arguably one of the best bantamweights of all time, which is a great segue into this. Let's go ahead down to bantamweight and do Sterling versus Cruz. Aljamain Sterling versus Dominic Cruz. These 2 guys are the top of bantamweight. These 2 men are regarded as kind of the GOATs at bantamweight right now, and it's almost deadlocked, dead even, in my opinion. People might downgrade Sterling a little bit because of he somewhat fluked his career. Let's be honest. His wins against Dillashaw was a fluke. His title win against Piotr Jan was an illegal knee, and he kind of milked that. So people will discredit Aldo, but that win against Cejudo is one of the best wins you can ever have. Cejudo's a double champ. He beat Demetrius Johnson at flyweight. Like, Cejudo is a really credible name to have on your resume. And him beating Yan The second time, I think, I wouldn't say dominantly, but he beat him quite clearly. Having a win against Yan, a legitimate win against him, is another great win on his resume. He also choked out Sandhagen in the first round, dominated him like he was nothing. So Sterling, even though he's kind of had a really fluky career, he is a really, really credible resume along with him. But on the flip side, with Dominic Cruz also has 3 defenses, just like Aljamain Sterling. He's beaten a Demetrius Johnson like Cejudo did, which is a great win. Demetrius Johnson is without a doubt the flyweight GOAT of the entire MMA sport in general, not just the UFC, but just the entire sport. He is the GOAT of flyweight. He also beat Dillashaw as well, and he beat Uriah Faber. But some of the things that are knocking down Cruz right now, and if he continues to go on in his career, will not come down in the future. But he did lose to Garbrandt, to Cejudo, and to Marlon Vera recently. Cejudo being the biggest red flag on this because Aljamain Sterling did beat him, so you kind of might be able to argue that Sterling is already the bantamweight GOAT, but I don't think just yet. Dominic Cruz also had a ton of injuries throughout his championship run, so he could have even been better than what he is now. His resume could be a lot better if he never got injured or was hurt throughout his career. I think, in my opinion, if Aljamain Sterling beats O'Malley in August, I think that would put him as the GOAT. Having wins over Sandhagen, Dillashaw, Cejudo, and O'Malley would put him, I believe, above Dominic Cruz at bantamweight. At least that would make his argument stronger. But let's say Aljamain Sterling beats O'Malley in a fluky win. You know, there's still some debate that is not credible. He's still not a bantamweight GOAT just yet. He needs to get some more credible wins on his resume. Let's say he moves up and he beats Volk, which I don't see happening, but let's just say it happens. Do we still consider him the bantamweight GOAT at that point? Maybe he needs to defend his belt against Merab, but they won't ever fight. But whatever, we don't know. I think at the very least, if he beats O'Malley, I think we have to bite the bullet and give Sterling that title as the bantamweight GOAT. And if he wins 2 more, gets 5 defenses on his resume, there's without a doubt that he is the bantamweight GOAT. No argument if he gets 5 defenses and he beats an O'Malley and then he beats maybe a Merab or I don't know, somebody else coming up. Maybe he beats Sandhagen again, or maybe an Umar or wins that matchup. Who knows? But Sterling needs that 1 more defense against O'Malley, and I will consider him in my book the bantamweight GOAT. I think if he gets 1 more after that, I think the entire world will recognize him as the bantamweight GOAT, whether you like him or not. Moving on, this is one that's going to be a bit more difficult to analyze because people have this mystique over this person, but we're going to do lightweight Islam Makhachev versus Habib Nurmagomedov. People will always view Islam as Habib's student, but I think we have to get that out of our mindset. Habib retired early. He just did. And right now, Islam, if he doesn't retire early, if he stays on the track that he's supposed to be on, he can surpass Habib as the lightweight GOAT. Right now, he has a similar record. He has 1 loss. Habib has 0. Obviously, we know that. But his 1 loss was kind of a KO loss, which puts him down some points as compared to Habib. But right now, Islam is at 1 defense. Habib has at 3 defenses. And Islam's current resume is looking better than Habib is. I mean, Islam already beat Oliveira, which is a great win. Oliveira's beaten Poirier, he's beaten Gaethje, he's beaten Michael Chandler. So right there, Oliveira, I think is better than any defense that Habib has ever had against McGregor, Poirier, Gaethje, because Oliveira's beaten those guys. And then Islam also beat Volk, which people disagree with. But in terms of the decision, he did win. Like on paper, Islam Makhachev has beaten Alexander Volkanovski. And right there, Volk is almost considered to be the featherweight GOAT. So having Oliveira and the featherweight GOAT on your resume as your title defense is already better than any defense that Habib has had against anybody. So right now, I think Islam's resume is better than Habib's. It just simply is. But I think right now he's lacking in the defenses. I think he needs to at least match Habib's defense at 3. He needs to get to that point. I think if he defends against Oliveira again, then maybe a Poirier Gaethje, I would consider him the lightweight GOAT over Habib. His resume is just better, not counting that loss. That loss was a fluke KO loss, and that's the big problem with retiring early. When Habib retired, people kind of, they give too much credit to that person in their title run. Like they would never ever lose, or they would never find some issues down the road. And if Islam keeps going and he keeps winning, if he beats Volk again, which I don't see happening, but if he beats Volk again, that would be another great win. If he beats Oliveira, if he beats a Poirier, if he beats a Gaethje, if he beats even a Chandler, or even a McGregor, who knows what can happen in the future. But if he beats any of those guys, I think that he is the lightweight GOAT at that point. I think if he can at the least, match Habib's 3 title defenses, we have to consider him the lightweight GOAT of the sport. But that's all I'll do for now. Maybe in a future video, I'll break down each of these guys individually in more intricate detail. But I want to do a nice quick one to get this one out here and just kind of get everybody thinking about these upcoming matchups, because Volk is fighting a year next week. Aljamain Sterling's fighting O'Malley in August, and Islam's probably be fighting in October in Abu Dhabi against probably Oliveira. That's a possible matchup that's going to happen in the future. So I want everybody thinking about, we're on the cusp of having some new GOATs in the sport, which is crazy. We're getting there. I think in the next few years, we're going to be having totally different conversations about who's the GOAT of the sport, who's the GOAT of this division, who's the GOAT of that division. The UFC right now in terms of talent is great. Name value, not so much, but in terms of talent, the UFC is top of the line, the best it's ever been in that position. So that's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you guys watching up to this point, staying throughout the entire video. It means a lot to me. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon as well. If you do that for me, it would mean a ton. But that's all I'm going to have for you guys today. My cat wants to say bye as well. She's saying bye. Peace.